Hi there, I'm Buddha and you're watching Dr. Guitar, a show for all you guitarists out there. Today's episode is about the Mesa Boogie Royal Atlantic 100. After getting the Transatlantic 15 and then the 30, I was playing live with those amps and really having a good time. But for a different band that I was in, much more heavy rock, where I played a lot more rhythmic stuff than lead stuff, I needed a less compressed amp and a little more modern, a little more higher gain, and the Transatlantic amps were giving me, if I needed more gain, it was going towards the fuzz territory. So I tried this amp, and it has a really thick overdrive, almost distortion, but it's always articulated. You always hear the pick, and that's exactly what I needed. I played it with either my Les Paul or my PRS DGT when they were the main guitars that I use. So that's why I'm demoing it with my Les Paul, which is a 1960 classic from 93 or 94, I guess. I bought it new. So let's go over the amp. When I bought it, it is a 100 watt amp, EL34, so Marshall, in the Marshall zone, and it has 2/3 channels. So it has a clean channel and an overdrive channel, and the overdrive has 2 preamps. So it's kind of a 3-channel amp, but the second channel, the dirty channel, has gain and EQ shared. So it only has master volume, independent master volumes. Here's the clean channel. We have master, bass, middle, treble, and gain. The clean channel on its own was practically enough for me if I use pedals. So it's a do-it-all amp with lots of headroom, lots of clean. Here's the clean one. But if you dig in a lot more into the guitar, let's say bridge pickup, it will drive. And I'm using just a little bit of reverb, which is assignable on the back of the amp, but we are using the gain fairly low, so a little more than mid. I will crank the gain so you can hear the tones. See what I mean? It gets fatter. And it's so here you have it, a perfectly vintage clean tone on the edge of breaking up a little bit, so it's sounding like a Marshall should sound. And of course, it cleans really well. It's beautiful. If you play soft, and if you dig in, So it's a, let me turn off the reverb. Okay, no reverb. It's a great rock and roll amp, and it has more. So let's crank the gain a little more. Even more. And now listen how thinner it gets when we cut a little on the gain. If we cut a little more. And we have that fantastic reverb, so we can make it and since the reverb is a tube reverb, when you get it in the circuit, it almost softens the amp. The highs will get a little mellow, so you have a Fender-ish clean. And if you notice, I have the bass really low because this channel has a lot of bass. We'll go to there in a minute. A little less reverb? Well, let's do it all the way. So a lot of reverb. So you can get in the spaghetti western zone. more gain. And a little more. So just with a single channel, I buy the amp, and I did. This is a great amp, and it works at 50 watts. And of course, since it's a Mesa Boogie, you still have a lot of features on the back of the amp, as a power soak, which is kind of the you can use it to crank the power section and then reduce the signal that is going to the speaker. I never used it. I don't feel the need to. I like the way it works, so I'm sticking with it. Then you have the power section, the high gain section, which is this section over here, with two master volumes separate for each channel. So a master for the high, a master for the low. Then you have a shared EQ and the gain. This amp is really high gainy, so as you can see, I have the gain really low. But as with all Mesa Boogies, the trick is getting the gain on the sweet spot. If you get it too low, it's thin sounding and it's not working proper. But to me, the optimum setting is a lot heavier than I would ever use. So I'm here with a Les Paul. I'm kind of in a good zone. And the great thing about it is it has the blue channel and the red channel, or at least the blue LED and the red LED, which is the low and the high. The blue channel is mid-rangey, nasal, and it's less compressed and thinner sounding than the red one. So I use it as the red one is my boost, as if I kicked in a boost pedal or a second overdrive to give me more drive, something like that. So let's hear the blue channel. And now going to the red. Blue. So it's a different character. The red side has a little more gain than the blue side, but they only have different characters. The blue one is has less bottom end, so it's better for riffing and for full chords. So it's great to have it like. And then kick in the red one. Because it feels the blue channel is very very articulate, and the red one with the same settings feels that, gives you a little more bottom end, a little more compression. So it's great to have just a little kick for the solo when you're playing single notes, because when you're playing single notes, the amp will compress less, will overdrive less, and will be a little thinner. So it's a really great balance to use. So I think of it as kind of a the clean and the dirty channel, and the dirty channel as a solo mode. And you can even raise the master volume a little bit, so it can even give you a bump in volume. It already does. Let's hear what it does with the various gain settings. It can get really heavy. A little more. And it's loud like fucking hell, but it's starting to creep out. Listen to the same setting with the blue channel. I was using it here. So you can get it. It is a very versatile amp. It is a lot heavier than all my other amps. It is a lot more modern than all my other amps, but it can get very vintagey sounding, very bluesy, and it has a really great reverb into it. It's a little bright, so I usually cut the mids, cut the treble to get a more rounder tone. One thing I really love about the Royal Atlantic is that it isn't a one-trick pony amp. So it can be vintage, it can be really heavy, but it cleans really good, like a good tube amp. So if I'm playing in the on the blue channel, for example, I have this. If I'm playing on the blue channel, it can clean really good. So it's full on. It's a great rock and roll amp. So it's a really great amp. You can have this kind of drive, this Marshall-y drive, but you can clean it really good. You can even do the ramble on thing. And even with your playing, if you play softer, it will clean up. I'm on 10. So it reacts really greatly to your playing, and it's super vintagey sounding. So that's the thing I don't get when people say, "Oh, Mesa Boogie is too high gain or too modern." It ain't. Especially the Transatlantic and the Royal Atlantic series, which is the 100-watt version of it. They are great amps, and they can sound very different depending on what you put into it. But if I was to choose this amp, just on a clean channel by itself, it's a great amp. So if you are not channel switching guy, if you like a Bassman or a Marshall Plexi or a simple amp, just keep the clean channel and you're more than enough ready to rock and roll, to clean it, to jazz it, to do whatever you want. Well, that's it. I hope you have liked the show. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe the YouTube channel, share it with the world, leave your comments below, and we'll see each other next week. Bye bye.